I just got done eating Panda Express. I had to make like a 30-minute drive to get that. But at least they were open. I went and got laundry detergent as well because I needed that. My whole car smells like chicken now. Hey, y'all. I've got like 25 pimple patches on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jesus Christ. Talk about stress. I hate the holidays. It stresses me out so bad. It's just like, it just brings up all of these emotions that I literally don't have time to fucking deal with right now. I'm in survival mode. I have to worry about feeding myself and watering myself like a fucking succulent once a week at least, you know? I don't have time to deal with shit. I just hate it, and I'm like ready for it to be over with. Traffic is crazy. People are rude. Everybody's stressed out. I've almost been in like 2 or 3 accidents today, which makes my stress level just peak. I gotta get back there and make the bed. Unless you want to. Will you do it for me? Get on now. I went to Walmart and got patches for my face and 2 avocados. Oh, and some hot chocolate mix. I don't know if I'll even feel like making it tomorrow, but it's peppermint and chocolate. Mint hot chocolate. Hey, Deborah. Aubrey. How are y'all? Alright, I'm getting in the back. Don't let us get mugged, because the meth heads are mething. I'm all the way at the end of the island, hoping I can avoid society. I've been trying all day. Oh shit, my headlight. I keep having to turn it out. I need to put these clothes up first. My headlight is out. Woohoo! A reason to pull me and cause problems and demand I get it fixed. Ooh, yay. Probable cause to cause me a bad damn day, at the very least. I don't know what the hell I've gotten all over my mattress, but I got something all over it. I think it's chocolate and Starburst. I fell asleep with a Starburst in my mouth, and when I woke up, there was a Starburst puddle. Shut up. We'll take it off in a week or two. The mattress cover. I got it off the blanket. Shit. I need a shirt to sleep in. I'm running out of space in this damn dresser. Oh my God. Alright. Oh, I need to get my life together. Let me lock us in here before we get kidnapped. Kidnapped on Christmas. It could always be worse. Kidnapped at midnight. Was waiting on Santa. He never showed. Somebody broke in my door. I got kidnapped on Christmas. Guess we'll never know. Oh, I gotta take my shoes off. Lord have mercy. I probably got some bad angles going on right now. Shush it. Listen, this is a fucking task, okay? I gotta go to the other side. Oh, have mercy. Oh my God, my whole thing is coming off. God dang it. I've got to build something. All right, you know what? It's good enough, boss. Mattress cover coming off. Lord have mercy. See why I can't do this at Walmart? I gotta open up every damn car door on the damn truck to make the bed. Trash. That's cold. Oh, whole damn thing's messed up. Alright. Okay. Jesus Christ. I'm out of breath. That's it, babe. Whole damn car smells like Panda Express. Jeez Louise. Hello, Dirt Road Devil. Damn, it's getting hot. Yeah, it's Christmas. Eve. Christmas Eve. I went and got laundry detergent, softener. I got Tide and Downy. Also grabbed some trail mix so I don't starve to death if I don't want to have to get out of bed tomorrow. I mean, I don't want to have to get out of bed, but I'll end up having to get out of bed to have to go find a bathroom. First thing in the damn morning before everybody else is up. But hell, maybe my face will stop breaking out, because right now it looks pretty freaking bad. That's made me even more upset. Like, if my face wasn't breaking out, I could have put makeup on and tried to make myself feel better. But no. It looks horrible. I guess it's the stress from the fucking holiday. It just brings out the worst in me, man. I don't know what it is. I want to move to a country where they don't celebrate this, but the whole world freaking does. Christianity is like the world religion, you know? Everybody celebrates Jesus' birthday. And I don't even know why I care. It's not like it's like, I don't know. It just brings out the worst in me. Like, it just makes my anxiety so bad. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Love you. And God bless. I hope those pimple patches work. They're called peach slices. They're supposed to be like it's medical grade, rapid action. 97% saw flattened blemishes in 2 days. Well, bitch, I got Mount St. Brooke on my forehead, so if you can get that thing to go down, then you're damn doing good things in life. Yo, it looked like somebody punched me in my forehead. That shit's wild. Yes, it hurts. I had people looking at that like they were going to ask me, does that hurt? Yes, it hurts. My whole forehead is sore. The sunset. Y'all know nothing good happens after dark. Yeah, look, I got them everywhere. Between my eyes, I got 2 over here. Like, damn, where do I start? Can I overdo it? Is there a way to overdo it? Y'all, tell me why I was studying Amy Winehouse today. First of all, I was in prison when she dropped an album, which was Frank. Really sad, though. I was watching, like, interviews with her dad. He definitely sold her out. What a piece of shit. First of all, he was a taxi driver. Amy Winehouse was Jewish. She came from 2 Jewish parents, and they were from the UK. She was born in London, and she had amazing talent young, but it was partially because her family, on both sides of her family, damn Apple asking me if I want to jump on Wi-Fi. No, I don't, because then my phone won't work. So on both sides of Amy Winehouse's family, her mother and her father both were into music. Her mother's family, they could play music, and Amy used to hang out with them when she was a kid, and there we go. I'm getting better. And I do believe it was her mother's brothers that were like in a jazz band. They played music, like jazz music. They were professional jazz players. And then Amy's father, his family would get together and they would all sing and play instruments too. So Amy got, you know, music on both sides of the family. And when she was like, I do believe 12, she privately, secretly entered a contest to win a scholarship to a theatrical school. It was a school of music, okay, like an art school for middle schoolers. And she entered this essay contest, and she had to write a song, and she wrote this song talking about how she wanted to, you know, be a huge star. And they actually accepted her and gave her a partial scholarship, and she did well there until she was about 16. she started having a lot of problems academically. She was not applying herself when she was in school, but she was playing music and she was in theater and she was really good at it. And anytime they had plays and shows, she would always somehow end up in the lead. So Amy stood out even in middle school and elementary school, her musical abilities. And then when she was 13, she got a guitar and she learned how to play that fluently and she started writing music. But when she was 16, she got removed from school. She dropped out of school. And her best friend, who was a guy, him and Amy would record music together. And he sent a demo tape that they had recorded together to some record labels. And they actually started knocking on Amy's door. And she was signed. And she wrote her first album, Frank, which was, I mean, it was big enough to hit the United States. And she's from the UK. So, you know, we don't have too many bands that come from there. We've had a few. Adele. And I think she really got her start because of Amy. I'll try to remember to talk about that at the end. But who else came from the UK? The Rolling Stones? Was it the Stones? No. Who am I thinking of? The Beatles. Anyways, so her first album did really good in America and the UK. But she got in a relationship with this guy, Blake. What's his damn name? Anyways, he was trouble, y'all. He was trouble. Okay, so him and Amy was only together for 6 months before they broke up. And then they got back together. And at some point, Blake introduced her to heroin. Well, Amy wrote another album. And it was Back to Black, which was a #1 hit. She won 5 Grammys for it. And when I listen to Back to Black, I hear her admitting to drug use. That's what, in my mind, the song is about, going back to black tar. So, you know, I don't know if she meant that literally, but given their relationship, they were getting high together and doing drugs together. I'm going to assume that she means literally, because one part of the song is her talking about how he likes the pipe and she likes puff, and these are code words for drugs. So they were doing drugs together, a lot of drugs together, okay? Amy looked like crap. She was literally crashing and burning. The craziest part for me is how her record label did not try to get her help. And matter of fact, everybody around her failed her. Everybody. Her father being the main one. I'm sure he was happy about Amy's success, and it appears that he used her as a workhorse and was willing to give her anything that she wanted just to make sure that she would go on stage and perform. And it's really sad because it's codependency at its finest, and it's also abusive. Financial abuse, whether it's your money or someone else's money, when that money is being used to harm you, that is financial abuse. So regardless if it was Amy's money, he was still riding off of her coattails and enabling her to a point that she would end up dying. She died at 27 years old. She's part of the infamous 27 Club, like Kurt Cobain and Jimi Hendrix and so many more. I can't really think of all of them off the top of my head, because I think Heath Ledger was one of them. There's quite a few, but Amy and Blake would have this violent, abusive relationship on and off, I do believe, for like 6 years. And, you know, she would physically abuse him. He would physically abuse her. He left her several times for one of his ex-girlfriends. That's when Amy wrote Back to Black and Rehab. And Rehab apparently is based on a true story. It was the record executives that came to Amy and said, you have a huge problem with drugs and alcohol, and they wanted her to go to rehab. And she didn't want to go to rehab. And she went to her dad and she said, do you think I need to go to rehab? And these lyrics actually play out in the song, which is just crazy. And her dad said, no, if you don't feel like you need rehab, I don't feel like you need rehab. And I think that the fact that we have that song, is like, it's eerie. It's very eerie, because she talks about in the song how she asked her father if she should go to rehab, and he said no. and she refused to go to rehab. Now, she would later try rehab several times and fail. To my understanding, she was actually on a maintenance program for heroin. Now, listen, the way that they worded it in the article was a maintenance program, like a drug maintenance program, like Suboxone or Subutex or methadone. Now, I don't know which one, but I do know that she had come off the heroin and she was mainly drinking, and that is what she died from. She died from apparently 3 whole bottles of vodka. Her alcohol level was enough to kill like 5 people. Like, seriously, it was off the charts. Toxic level is what she died from. She died from alcohol poisoning. What's even sadder is the guy that found her was essentially like a brother to her. He had been her bodyguard for years. They were best friends. He essentially lived with her, and he was at the house with her all the time. And he actually checked on her that morning, and he thought that she was just sleeping off a stupor, because she typically did, because she was drinking a lot. She never left the house. She got to the point to where she just completely isolated in her house, and the only time that we would see her was at awards. And then the last few times that she performed, she was so sloppily like drunk that they actually booed her off of stage, and she couldn't even sing her songs. She couldn't remember the words. Like, it is a toxic freaking mess. Watching the videos, you just want to strangle somebody, because somebody was in charge of allowing her to go up there and embarrass herself in this manner. Like, and to know that her whole family essentially was living off of her, is really screwed up. I don't know what they thought was going to happen, but I don't know. I mean, I guess they all kind of knew that she was going to end up either hurt or dead or in jail, because she had bounced in and out of jail. And at the time of her death, her bodyguard checked on her. He thought she was asleep. He went back later in the evening at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and she still hadn't got up. And he couldn't get her to wake up. He realized that she didn't have a pulse. At that point, when EMS got there, they realized that rigor mortis had already set in, and she had been dead for hours. Her husband at the time, Blake, and I think they were divorced at that point, he had gotten sentenced to like 27 months in prison. And so he was in prison when she actually died. But, you know, that relationship absolutely contributed to Amy's death. Blake introduced her to drugs, and everybody gets introduced by somebody. But at the same time, he was only, like, he kept bouncing back between Amy and this other girl, and it was only when it was, like, relevant to his drug use. Like, when he needed Amy's money to get high on, he'd be back with Amy. And then 2 days later, he'd be back with his ex. And he definitely expected Amy to pay for everything. He actually said one time that the first night they met, because they met at a pub, the first night that they met, he said it was the first time it was the first and last time he ever bought drinks. So, you know, he would also screw her over occasionally. He would take pictures of her, videos of her. There was pictures of Amy smoking crack, horrible, that were sold to the press. Where those pictures come from, we don't know. But what we do know is that Blake was notorious for taking pictures of Amy, videos of Amy, and then selling their love story to the media, TMZ. And, you know, this was actually at the same time that Britney Spears was having her fucking meltdowns and shaving her head. When I just tell you guys that the media was fucking evil at this time. They were so evil to these girls. Britney, Paris, Nicole, all of them. You know, remember them taking pictures of Britney's vagina and posting it? Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. And Britney's shaving her head, losing her mind. And at the very same time, Amy is in and out of drug use, in and out of alcoholism. Y'all, when I tell y'all it was so bad, this girl dwindled down to nothing. And also, let me just add that she had a severe eating disorder. Severe. You can also see in a lot of Amy's pictures from the alcohol abuse, her center swelling, which is a symptom of alcohol abuse. People carry weight in the center, and her back and stomach would be so bloated. Looking at her performing in certain pictures when she was absolutely in full-blown addiction, you can see the signs on her body that she is barely surviving. And then you add on top the eating disorder where she's not eating, and when she does eat, she gets rid of it all, and her body is not getting the nutrients. Her face is breaking out. I mean, it was horrible. It's so sad. Her family said that she was very rambunctious as a child and that they could never control Amy. And so her mother had this attitude that we just allow Amy to be Amy. And, Amy had a lot of problems as a child. And her parents kind of had this enabling attitude. I'm not saying her parents didn't love her, but her parents psychologically had checked out before Amy even and Amy didn't graduate. She dropped out at 16 and she moved out of the house, and her parents let her move in to some other house with older people. And, it was a friend of Amy's, but, she was 16 running down to the bars in London and lying to bar owners saying, yeah, I'm 18. Can I sing? And she would go in these joints and sing. And she was just amazing. She took a lot of direction from 40s, 50s, and 60s Motown and jazz and Sinatra, and she had that musical talent. I mean, it's just still to this day, her voice is just so raw, and you can hear so much emotion behind her music. It's just really sad that her family and society, at the time, the tabloids were looking for like this Sid and Nancy duo, okay? And so they kind of used Blake and Amy as this and this was early 2000s too. We're talking like Angelina Jolie and Bobby Lee Thornton, they're drinking each other's blood and shit. And I don't know if that was him, but I'm pretty sure it was. And it was a weird time, people were kind of out there. And there was a lot of stars that had, major drug addictions and afflictions. And we just kind of watched them spiral. And Amy was one of those people. And Blake and her were toxic as fuck together. Like, they were past toxic. Like, they definitely probably really loved each other a lot, and I do believe that they both felt like they were soulmates. But their drug addiction and the codependency and the fact that they both didn't know how to have healthy relationships, and then they're beating on each other and breaking up and making up, and they're trying to do all of this while having full-time careers. I mean, it just sounds fucking chaotic, And it was very chaotic. There was pictures of them with blood down his face, scratches all over him when they came out of a hotel somewhere in the UK, and it looked like her feet were bleeding. It was bad. It was alleged that when I say that both of her feet were bloody as fuck, it was alleged that she was doing dope between her toes, and her problem was so bad that her feet had just open wounds that would just bleed in her shoes. She had on these clear plastic shoes. You can, that picture, something was going on, whether she had stepped on glass when they was fighting or something happened. I ain't never seen nobody's feet look like a whole crime scene, but they did. And, both of them were on a dirt road to death. They were on a dirt road to death. And Amy specifically, they broke up. Amy had went to rehab. She would get clean she finally got on this maintenance program, allegedly. I'll have to read that screenshot. It's on my phone. I'll have to read that to y'all. But she had gotten clean off of heroin. She wasn't smoking crack anymore. She wasn't, something that was very strange to me is how her doctors would prescribe her Xanax and Klonopin and shit. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. That's what we don't give to people coming off of heroin and alcohol addiction. That's the last thing you give them. Because if they relapse and start mixing that alcohol with that Xanax or that Klonopin, their chances of death damn near virtually double, because it suppresses your breathing. They're both suppressants. And then heroin as well. You don't want no heroin addict mixing Xanax, and that's not the way to go. We don't give heroin addicts, alcohol addicts, Xanax and clozapam, okay? We don't, no, absolutely not. I just feel like she had a lot of people in her life that didn't know what the hell they were doing, and they let her spiral. And she had gotten off of the hard substances, and it's alleged that she was on some kind of maintenance program. Now, whether that was Suboxone or methadone or whatever, they don't want this out there anyways, because I was only able to find 2 articles that even mention how she come off of heroin. And I do believe that, you know, they wanted to preserve what was left of Amy's memory after they found her dead that way, because of the alcohol content in her blood. It looked horrible. Everybody knew this was coming. Everybody could see it coming from a mile away, you know. And her father was essentially over her. He was like the manager. He made all the moves behind the scene. And the mother was just kind of head down, going with the flow. It's really sad, but she couldn't kick the alcohol. She kept falling into a state of depression over Blake. He's in prison at this time. He had been sentenced for, I want to say he had some kind of bar fight, or he got in some kind of disagreement, and then he tried to bribe somebody, and they found out he was trying to bribe somebody on the case, and that made the whole situation worse. He ended up with like 27 months. And so that was really hard on Amy. They were not together, and she was just spiraling out of control. She couldn't even perform a 70-minute set without completely melting down, not being able to remember the words, falling out of her high heels, makeup running down her face, bra falling off on stage. When I say an absolute 10 out of 10 bar disaster, complete disaster. Like, I've seen some wild shit from the 70s and 80s, and, you know, Ozzy damn bit a whole bat's head off. But this is just heartbreaking on another level, because you can feel this girl hurting. And then to know that her music was an autobiography of her life, we know what she was going through because of the music, because of the albums. She only made 2 albums, and she was a Grammy winner and, like, broke records, you know, Back to Black, and they tried to make me go to rehab. I mean, it's just really sad, because she was so talented, and you can hear that jazz, you can hear that funk from, you know, like the old school Motown and jazz, and specifically you can hear a lot of Sinatra in her music, which is what she pulled from. So she couldn't kick the alcohol. She would quit for 4 or 5 weeks, and then she would go back to binge drinking and allegedly bulimia. And she was really struggling with being broke up with Blake. And it is said that her last night, she found a video, and she ran downstairs to hang out with her bodyguard for a little bit, and she had been drinking. They had ordered some food. She had went up to her room, and she was eating her food. At some point, she started watching some of her old music videos, and her bodyguard saw her laying in bed, eating food, drinking alcohol, but she was watching some of her old performances, and the next morning he found her dead. So I can't remember what they said her blood alcohol level was, but I do believe it was like 400. No, I don't remember, y'all. I'll have to look it up tomorrow when I show y'all, when I find those screenshots on my phone. In my opinion, I think that she was on some kind of maintenance program. Now, whether it was methadone, that could have impacted her death. That could have contributed to her death. At this time, they said that the only legal drug, or the only drug, was the alcohol. Now, they never commented on prescription drugs, and if she was in fact on a maintenance program such as Suboxone, methadone, Subutex, anything like that, those are suppressants as well. So mixing those drugs with alcohol would heighten your chances of death. This is not something they inform you of when you were on these medications, which is crazy, I know. But, you know, I think that her parents worked hard after her death to make sure that Amy wasn't like, you know, they tried to pull the strings behind the scene to kind of make it not look so bad. You know what I mean? So if she was on a maintenance drug, then, you know, she wasn't on anything illegal if she was getting prescribed it. And she was also getting prescribed, like Xanax, but I just said it, clozapam, and it might have been a different one. And they also had her on something else for alcohol withdrawals that starts with a L that I can't remember. But we can talk about that tomorrow if I can remember. But it's just really sad because she had every opportunity to go in the perfect direction, and it just seems like the people that were supposed to love her the most sold her out, number one. And then here comes Blake, who could have helped her in so many ways, but instead, he's damn over here showing her how to smoke damn heroin. And I have no doubt, I've met people like Blake, I have no doubt that he rode on her coattails for years. And, you know, there's all these videos where, like, they would be out, and then there's one video with Blake and his friends sitting at a table, and Blake is like, oh, I can't pay for this or something. And the guy, his friend's like, well, who's going to pay for it? And he's like, oh, Amy will pay for it. Bring another bottle of Dom Perignon. And I don't know if that's how you say that, but you know what I'm talking about. So, like, it's very apparent that, you know, Blake was living off of Amy's dime. Like, he wasn't making money anywhere near like she was. And also, he would screw her over and sell her damn stories to the tabloids. Like, talk about betrayal. Who needs enemies when you got a boyfriend like Blake? Calling the damn TMZ, hey, yeah, she's passed out in the bathroom floor. Yeah, I gave her 2 doses of heroin. Like, you want a picture? Like, how fucked up? I mean, it was just the poor girl. She really, you know, she was 20 years old when she got signed. When she came out with the Frank album, she was only 20. And then she took 2 years off where she went down the damn drug rabbit hole with Blake. And then finally, when he got locked up, that's when she went back to music. And it was just a few years later that she would die. It was that quick. I mean, her whole drug nosedive was like 6 years. And she went from a youthful, beautiful, budding star to death. Like, seriously. She looked so sad. I think that the codependent relationship with Blake did not help matters. I think that I don't know. I think that I think her parents and him definitely contributed to her death. They essentially let her die. They didn't try to get her any help. And when she asked her father if she should go to rehab, he said no. I mean, and then, you know, guess what? Guess who got all of her money when she died? Her father. Her father. Yeah, gets to see royalties off of her music. They do interviews talking about her. And you know, it's really so out of touch how lost these damn people are. Absolutely. I mean, they pretty much just allowed her to kill herself. And they gave her the means to do that just as long as she got on stage and performed. And there at the end, she was completely incapable of performing. Completely incapable. And she essentially isolated and just drank all the time. And that was her life. And I guess, you know, like I said, it's my belief that she was on some form of Suboxone or methadone. You know, and then she's also suffering with depression and bulimia. It was just a recipe for disaster. I think that she would have been... I think that Adele, going back to Adele, I think that the reason that Adele blew up like she did was because Amy died, because that's when we really got introduced to Adele, was right after Amy's death. And she blew up, and it was like we had had a little taste of the UK, like the UK style music. And Adele is very similar to Amy. They have very different voices, but Adele has that like dark, mysterious, jazzy, like different feel. And so when we got Adele, we all hopped on it because of Amy, you know. They try to make me go to rehab is like literally, it's like that bar song. Oh God, what's that bar song? Oh no, I really did it this time. Broke my parole to have a good time. It's like that song. They try to make me go to rehab. It's the same vibe though. Like it's like one of those infamous bar songs like Closing Time. Closing Time. You know, there's all these like infamous, not so perfect songs like Bad, maybe alcohol or drug songs. And the song Rehab, I mean, it'll be infamous for the rest of time, especially Back to Black, because that song, I mean, she freaking wrote that when she was what, like 24, 23. She really is a lyrical genius when you listen to some of her music. I went through Back to Black today and also listened to Frank, and she has this damn Etna James, however you say it. Is that who that is? Damn, is it Jones? Anyway, she's got that feel to her. Really good stuff. It's just so sad that her family sold her out like that. And Blake played her. I mean, played her hard. But I do think that they're independent and abusive to each other. I'm not saying that it was one-sided and it was all him and blah, 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 blah. But what I am saying is I think he got with Amy, knowing good and well he could use her for drug money. And then it spiraled. And I do think he loved her. But I do believe that his original intentions was to see, you know, because she was shooting to Stardom at the time. So Frank had been a great album, and Amy was coming into some money, quite a bit of money. And actually, when she signed with her record label, she bought like she got a 6-figure paycheck for that, and she bought a beautiful, I think, a flat in London, and it was like a big house. So, you know, she wasn't hurting for much. And then also her family was behind the scenes making deals for her, and her father kind of stepped in to be, I guess, her manager, kind of, which is always sketchy to me when I see family doing that. I just, listen, there's a reason they tell you to keep pleasure and business separate and family and business separate. And just in my own personal experiences, no, I don't need no family over here. You know what I mean? Like, we need to keep this separate, because that's when shit goes south. Feelings get involved, money gets involved, people start acting crazy. It's really sad. Really, really sad story. I really didn't know that much about it, and I think I watched everything I could today on it, because it's just one of those stories that definitely needs to be remembered. There's been so many other people like that. Tina Turner, Whitney was a victim of the same type of emotional, codependent, drug-fueled, toxic relationship, you know. And I think it happens a lot more out in general society than people realize. But I've been there. I dated someone, we both had a drug problem at the same time. That's a rough life, honey. And I can only imagine how much more chaotic it gets when you actually are mixing multiple substances together, like crack and heroin. Because Amy didn't care. She did not discriminate when it came to drug use. She didn't care what it was. If she could get her hands on it, she would do it. And actually, when she got off of the hard stuff, they had to like isolate her away from society so that she wouldn't get into anything. And if you're, you know, having to treat your 23-year-old daughter that way and lock her in and confine her to only like stage space, it's just a really sad life. Like, what did they expect her to do? You know, when she started dabbling in alcohol, nobody said anything. Oh, she's just drinking, it'll be fine, at least it's not crack. It's almost as if her family did not have the awareness to know that she couldn't handle that it was an addiction that she couldn't handle, you know? Like, the alcohol was just as bad as the crack and the heroin. It's really sad. She was such a beautiful girl. It got to the point to where her teeth were literally crumbling out of her mouth. Her face was getting all scarred. She just shrunk down to barely anything. And anytime we saw her, she was incoherent and couldn't even speak or sing. And one of her last performance, they actually booed her off a stage and had to get her off a stage. There were shows that they would have to carry her out in a wheelbarrow. I don't know what goes into stage production and all of that, but I'm just saying, ain't that quite a few people that's back there behind that stage and nobody thinks this is of concern? Like, it's just crazy how people see stuff like that. And I guess if you're getting paid, you don't rock the boat, right? You just put your head down and hope that she damn lives till the morning. I mean, it's just crazy. Now, when she won Grammys for Rehab and Back to Black, the record label actually put in her new contract, because she was signing a new contract, they put in her contract that she had to be sober for the Grammys or they weren't going to let her go and accept her awards. And so that was the only reason that she showed up to the damn Grammys sober, because it was literally a contract that she had signed. And she was only sober until probably after she left the Grammys, because it wasn't too much longer she would die. It's crazy. I think that she had an amazing talent that will be appreciated for a very long time. And it's her story is it's a real life story. It's a testimony to how your own family and friends can be your worst enemy sometimes. And Amy's family, I think that they just didn't know how to deal with it, and they were used to letting Amy get her way from an early age, you know, and they couldn't tell her nothing, and she was going to do what she wanted to do, and Amy did what Amy wanted to do. And I think that they'd gotten used to playing those cards and behaving that way, and they were in this codependent relationship. And I also think that her father loved the money and the success and the fame that he got from this, because all of a sudden, after Amy hit it big, his music career took off. He was also a singer, you know. So it's just crazy to see how her connections to the music world helped him out, and then ultimately how they would profit off of her death for years to come. And you know, ultimately it was their job to put their foot down and say, absolutely not, no daughter of mine is going to die, you know, and they didn't. And I really think that it's a lack of intelligence and awareness. Like, they just genuinely didn't know how to deal with it, you know. This was a good old Jewish family from London. You know, they hadn't had these problems before Amy popped up. Everybody in the family was, you know, middle class, if not well-to-do, and everybody were musically inclined. They were religious. They, you know, they were kind of by the book and just a normal, but also famous family and on certain sides. Because I do believe Amy's mother's brothers were famous jazz players of some sort. Like, they got paid big bucks for it. So this is where Amy got this music, the love of music from, and she was wonderful at it, and she was definitely brilliant and just a lyrical genius. And it's really sad, but it's definitely a good case when it comes to how friends and families, they will hold you back, and they will give you all the tools you need to harm yourself as long as they got what they need or what they want. And poor Amy. I have no doubt that she literally drank herself to death from a broken heart. Like, the poor girl loved that boy so much. But also, a lot of that was the drugs and the alcohol, you know. You can't let that stuff go until you let the drugs and alcohol go. If you keep, you're re-injuring your psyche when you're going through something that is that emotionally damaging or that traumatic, something you've already been through. When you're continuing the drug use, you're not handling the problem and the emotions. So I have no doubt that she was incapable of knowing what to do. And I know she didn't want to live like that, because days before they found her dead, she had a psychological evaluation, and her doctor said, "Are you trying to kill yourself?" And Amy said, "No, I don't want to die." And I just don't think that she had the tools. She was not equipped. I think that, you know, she had a lot of yes people in her life that just kind of let her be detrimental to herself. You know, she had a problem with cutting. She had a problem with self-harm. And none of her emotional, mental needs were being met, in my opinion. Just from the evidence. And I'm going off of the videos of Amy being completely fucking trashed out of her mind. Like, the fact that there is that much fucking footage is just so disheartening. Like, if that's what we know happened, that's what happened in public, imagine what was happening behind doors. Closed doors. I mean, her bodyguard seemed to really be there for Amy, and I'm glad that she had at least one friend that didn't seem to be using her. Her bodyguard just, I feel so bad for that boy having to find her body. Because they seem to be like brother and sister, and he looked after her for many years. So I can only imagine what that poor boy has been through, has seen. And it's one of those things, a lot of people have said that they knew this was going to come. They knew that she was destined, you know, it was just a matter of when. And that's even sadder, that so many people knew that she was this bad off. And I was in prison. I didn't even think I knew who she was or anything like that until a few years ago. Even when rehab come out, I don't think that I even really got into it. But yeah, crazy case. Crazy. So that's what I've been doing for Christmas. Making myself even more depressed. Well, I'm going to bed, you guys. I'm going to eat the rest of my Panda Express. Panda, panda, panda. Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have a good night. I'm going to get my PJs on and go to bed. It's already that time. Oh, it's past my bedtime. I like to get there by like 7 o'clock. I got to get my nighttime meds in me and get my ass in the bed. I'm going to go use the bathroom. And my headlight is shot. So, yeah, that sucks. I don't know what to do. Definitely need to get that fixed. It's not going to happen tomorrow. So I switched over to the alcohol-free. I don't think it works as well. It sure doesn't. Well, I guess I'm going to get up in the morning and make me some hot chocolate if it's not too cold. I did laundry. I'm going to kind of try to chill tomorrow and not stress myself out. I definitely want to see if I can find out whether or not she was on Subutex or methadone, because if she was on methadone, then, honey. I mean, her alcohol content was enough to kill a horse. So that, you know, that was the main thing they said that she died from. But if she was on a maintenance program, that also contributed. That would also contribute, because it's a suppressant and it lowers your breathing. So you stop breathing when you're on that stuff. I hope you guys have a good night. Y'all be safe out there. Hope Santa comes and visits you. I'm going to get in the bed and watch A Christmas Story again after I use the bathroom. Y'all be safe tonight. Pray for my face, because it's bad. Oh, stress be stressing, right? Good night, y'all. Merry Christmas. Be safe out there.